Welcome to Rock Shop Talk. Our show talks best practices, fun anecdotes, and the latest cutting-edge technology in our field to kick your screen printing gears into hyperdrive. Today's episode features ROQ'n the OVAL with machine gun graphics. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be right back.
Want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today we are discussing ROQ'n with the OVAL, and we are joined with Machine Gun Graphics, Nikki Bowen, and Kyle Woodall. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey,
Thanks.
guys, how are you?
How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
Doing
thanks
good.
for coming on.
Good. End of our production day, so you know.
Awesome. That's always good. You're at the end of your production day, and we're still in the middle of the day. I feel like I'm kind of at the end of the day because I usually start at about 5:30 in the morning, and I'm halfway through a day when a lot of people are crawling out of bed. But
yeah, when we got the when you sent us the Zoom invite for this, I'm like, oh, cool, lunchtime, and then I was like, oh wait, no, 3:00.
That's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
We're also joined here with our marketing director, Mr. Merrill Caps, and our sales director, Brian Richards. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
Look at this.
I'm missing our studio. It'd be fun to.
I know. One day we'll be back. But we're back. The first episode of season 3. How about it?
Season 3,
That's
episode
exciting.
1. Love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's kind of crazy to think about how quick time has gone by. It's especially, I mean, we've all just been like pent up in COVID, and it's just flown, which normally you would think things would slow down, but I feel like they've sped up in a weird way. So
Right.
It's interesting.
But I'm sorry, you said COVID? Tell me about that. What is this COVID?
I don't actually really know anymore. I plead the fifth. We're pressing onward. That's what I should say. We are pressing onward,
yes,
because that's
very
true.
Merrill's been in outer space, so he doesn't know.
It's hey, they said quarantine. You know, I'm all for it. So tell us about this. What we're happening with our pressing on.
What better place? What better place?
Yeah, so we are pressing onward this year. That I'm excited to announce, and I did announce publicly, I think about a week ago, we are moving forward with the Long Beach Impressions Trade Show, which we are very, very excited about. We have moved our booth location for those of you coming to visit us. So we are no longer in the atrium like we normally are. And the reason for that is there's not going to be spaces in the arena in the back of the show. So we wanted to be plugged into what's happening in the main hall. So we're in booth space now, right in the front of the show. I won't mention whose booth space it used to be, but the color of their machines was blue.
I was hoping that you were going to take over that, because that's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, we're excited. We're bringing a full fleet of products. We've got our Rock Now Digital Machine version 3, which we're re-releasing out in the wild. Really excited about that. The machine and the technology's come a long way since the last time folks have seen it in Long Beach, or if you've seen it anywhere else. We're going to have our hybrid. We're going to have a U, a Next, an Eco, dryers, folding lines, a stage. We're going to have live music in the booth. We are doing the Rising Star Awards in our booth with Screen Print Mag. I think we've got a women rock panel that's going to be going on. We've got some guest educational speakers. Kevin Baumgart of Set Sales is going to be doing a seminar in our booth about how to sell effectively. Printavo is going to do demos. We've got Creative Situation that's going to get up and talk about graphic design. We've got a lot going on, and a lot of it's happening in booth, which is really cool. Excited to be getting back to, educating and speaking and talking to our partners about our industry and how to become better at everything that they're doing. So a lot planned. We're going to have partners in our booth as well. Reese Supply is joining us and will be there. McLogan Supply will be there. Screen Print Magazine's got some space. Made Lab's got some space. Printavo's got space. I mean, we basically kind of created this conglomerate booth, which is really cool because it's all of our partners kind of in one spot. It's like a show within a show.
So it's really Rock ISS.
Well, here's a funny thing. I did text their show director yesterday, and I said, I feel like our logo is not in enough places on your website and on the floor plan. So why don't we make it like the impression show sponsored by Rock? And I kind of got a ha. And then I sort of said, no, I'm kind of serious. And so he went back to the drawing board. We'll see if anything actually happens or not. But we're excited. And we've got some great partners, guys. I mean, Bella Canvas has got a booth. I mean, tons of booths still. We've talked to a ton of our customer partners. Lots of people coming. I think, it's going to be fun. We're taking precautions. We're all going to be KN95 masks. We've got rapid tests on site in our booth. Our team's testing all before we leave. Some of us are actually driving from Washington down to just sort of take that extra precaution and bringing some stuff with us. Our team all volunteered to go, so we didn't make anyone go. This is a complete... if I had 18 other people say, Ross, we're not doing it, I would have went solo and just stood in the middle of the booth with no equipment because it wouldn't have been set up, but I would have just been there with a hat and a shirt and
that's all you need.
Just say,
like
hey,
I said, we're trying to press onward.
We would just have one big party in the booth.
Absolutely. That'd actually be fun.
Yeah.
And we're kind of doing that anyway.
Alcohol.
So
just bring some alcohol, put your straw into your mask,
There you go.
Sounds like you thought about it.
I love it.
Just a little bit.
We are going to have a cool party, though. So initially, we had planned a big yacht. We had a 400-person super yacht, cool 3 levels. We're going to do a big concert, Coolio, Sugar Ray, Gallo Live, have food and drinks and everything. And I felt like the boat was maybe a little much in terms of keeping everyone in close quarters, probably not masking on the open waters of the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
So we are going to have an event. We're doing it where our old booth space used to be. So the Pacific lobby. We brought in a stage. Coolio's coming. Gallo Live is coming. We are going to have a concert. We're going to have open bars. We've got some snacks for everyone. So we still wanted to press on, but just do it in a much more open room with more space to spread out that can be ventilated and all that kind of stuff. So come join us. We only have 400 people, though, that can fit. So come to our booth, get a ticket. That is the key. You need your ticket and you need your show badge. And those will be the 2 things that you need to get in. And the entrance will be on the outside of the building. So we're having to do things a little funky because of the situation right now. But we'll send out a bunch of information on that. We'll have an email coming out soon. It probably has already gotten to you before you hear this podcast. And we are going to have some social stuff going on as well, just kind of explaining everything that's happening. So, and you guys you're coming, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
We've had plane tickets and hotels for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be an awesome time and just a good time to reconnect. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And I guess I should throw out our booth numbers are 1401, 1311, and 1301. So there's actually 3 of them. They're all right there together.
Well, because you won't be able to see it when you walk in or anything.
Yeah, maybe just look for green.
It won't blend in with the carpet.
Our event Saturday night, 5:30 to 7:30. Again, it'll be at the convention center. So come one, come all. Let's have some fun.
We'll see you when you get there. We had to say that.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
The show must go on.
Show must rock on.
Ooh, I like that better.
There you go.
Yeah,
we should put
that's
that
better.
in the title.
Yep. The show must rock
Too
on.
late. Too late. The marketing materials are all done. Dang it.
Maybe you can use that in your Instagram.
Yeah.
There we go. I like that. So Merrill, you've got some updates too?
Yeah, man. Well,
you have to start it with your titles. You told me this. I don't know what the deal is, but Merrill kind of writes the script and it says, who dis? what dis all in
All
front
right.
of everything, and I don't.
First of all, I didn't
understand
invent
New
this.
Year
I don't
thing.
speak this way, but people constantly post online like, new hair, who dis? New year, who dis? New job, who dis? And so I followed that in this outline, and Ross is like, what does this mean? And he caught me off guard because I wanted to create like some epic saga around it, but I had no time. So now we're talking about the new season, and a new segment that we're having this roll out this new season is that every episode, or ideally every episode that we do this for this season going forward, we're going to feature a musician and or band on every show and have them play for us, or either have them sending a music video or whatever, talking about whatever they're working on. So really building in that extra, pulling in that extra side of the community into this as well. Today's launch, we'll be hearing from Ryan Schraffenberger, and talking about his nonprofit LaPointe Foundation. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned if you come to see us in Long Beach next week. He will also be performing, I believe, definitely Saturday. I believe.
Yeah,
so.
definitely Saturday. I think up to the concert. So he's going to be like 4 to 5, I think, in our booth.
3 to 4. 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay, cool.
Yeah, during the happy hour for the Women in Screen Printing Awards panel.
Well, you just reminded me I need to order a bar to our booth at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Yeah. Ross, please order a bar for our booth for 4 o'clock.
Done. I'll send an email the second we're off of this podcast.
We might all leave if you don't.
No. Oh, that'd be a bummer. So now I understand our relationship better. I need to provide alcohol.
Yes.
Constantly. Yes. Okay. Constant flow.
Constantly.
Done.
Constantly.
So funny. And the final Hootist thing that I think I'll ever say in my life is Brian Richards as a new title. Brian is joining us here on the show today. And Brian, your new title is now Sales Director, formerly known as Channel Manager. Talk about what that change is for us and what it means for the community, and what your experience is so far.
Well, what it means for our community, I hope is, just better, faster, more attentive results. It's been I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a challenge. It's been 6 months now, and very grateful for the opportunity and responsibility. It's been a lot of work. It's almost actually reminded me of what it was like to be a small business owner, and just the sheer magnitude of the stuff that's happening every day. And it's fun because it allows me to really focus on some of the things that I've always wanted to have, working, with ROQ in the US, and different processes or systems that I'd wish we had. I get to advocate and kind of help build those now, which is really cool. The challenge is carving out the time to do that. Right. So, but it makes it a lot easier. We have an incredible team of all-star rock stars in our sales department, which, really makes what I do a lot easier. And so it's been challenging, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Nice. Well, congrats.
Yeah, Brian's kicking some ass. It's really been a huge addition to the team. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Golf clap.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Very
On
cool.
that note, Brian, let's do some intros, man. Everyone else.
Yeah. So very happy to have you guys here. Kyle Woodall and Nikki Bowen of Machine Gun Graphics in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about yourselves, kind of the elevator pitch here, how you guys got into the industry, how your involvement has kind of grown, over the years, and then make sure you touch on, how you ended up with that killer name.
It's man, getting into the screen printing industry was one of the. It's pretty much the same story that you'll hear from anybody my age that got into screen printing. They were in a band, and the band needed T-shirts and so on and so forth, and you had to figure out how to get shirts. So, I mean, that's essentially my story, was getting in, the band that I was in. We needed T-shirts, and we reached out to a couple other shops in the area. They, at the time, were too expensive now looking back on it, I'm like, that was not expensive at all. But when you're 14 years old and you're trying to have merchandise as a band, it's one of those things. But yeah, I ended up starting. I think I was closer to 15 than I was 14. But
wow, super young.
Oh yeah, I like the first thing I ever did was I used to go to Walmart. And they sold sheets of stencil material. So I'd go in and I'd literally hand cut our designs in the stencil, and I'd use acrylic paint to make our t-shirts. My dad actually had one probably until about 4 years ago. And the t-shirt itself was falling apart, but the acrylic paint was, still there because it's acrylic paint. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially how I got into it. And then from there, I've got into, I had a buddy actually loan me like $500 to buy this thing. It's called a thermofax machine. It was what like tattoo artists use to make the stencils, and they put it on you and stuff like that. But they make like screen printing mesh for it. It's essentially like the express screen method. But I had one of those. I used it for a while. Started out with water-based inks, which was awfully hard to do when you have no idea what you're doing. Dude, YouTube was not a thing when I started. Like all of these people now that can literally go on YouTube, type in how to print a t-shirt. There's like 14 million videos of how to print a t-shirt. I did not have that. I used to buy all of my screen printing stuff from Dick Blick. I think they're just called Blick now. Yeah. I used to buy all my stuff from them. I started with permaset inks. I was using, I would make my own frames. I would literally build my own frames, then use the grooves to put the mesh in. And before I even learned what emulsion was, I had no idea what I was doing. And then getting into emulsions and things like that, figuring out how to coat a screen was extremely challenging because you have a photo of how to do it. You don't actually have a video of how to do it.
Black and white printout.
Exactly. Dude, it was like it was like going to the library and getting something from 1973 to figure out what you're doing. But my very first scoop coater got ruined very quickly because it was an older one, but it had this rubber blade guard on it that would keep the edge of the blade from getting nicked. I left it on there to coat screens. So I never cleaned it off. So the emulsion literally hardened and cured to the rubber piece.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it was a long fought process to get to where we're at now. I started, there was a shop that I worked at in Florida for probably about 2 years. My boss there was actually one of the biggest influences in my life as far as screen printing goes. I mean, she had been in the industry for a long time. So I had like brought her a bunch of samples that I had printed in-house, like literally in my bedroom. I had a table that me and my dad put together and built. My exposure unit was on one side, and then my curing unit, which was an upside down hamburger grill. Essentially back then I had my own flash unit without knowing what a flash unit was called. But yeah, it was one of those flat top hamburger griddles and it had the handle. So I literally just turn it upside down to cure my t-shirts.
Amazing.
Slide the shirt underneath it and leave it under there for 2.5 minutes and it would get burnt and throw it away and make another one. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I have like so many 23, 24 years of thoughts in my head.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to know. I didn't realize you started that young. That's actually I feel like pretty unique. But at what point did you kind of like, when did it turn into like going from a task to kind of learn how to print your own stuff, your merch, your band's merch, to like, okay, this is a business?
Well, trust me, it was a long time. I was still doing like, band, like friends, like I knew like friends that were all in bands. Like that was the thing. Like I was literally every single friend that I knew that had a band, I was printing their merchandise. I was doing I started out doing like the canvas patches. I can't tell you how many canvas patches I've printed and cut in my life, and I never want to do it again. Same thing with buttons, like those little 1-inch buttons, never again. But so it was one of those things. Like I started, printing for my friends' bands and working at that shop for the 2 years that I did. I learned a lot there. And then I was just kind of like, the band that I was in, we were actually touring. So I told my boss, I'm like, hey, I'm going on this month-long tour. She's like, okay, well, you're not going to have a job when you get back. I think at this point I was 19. I was either 18 or 19. So she's like, you don't have a job when you get back. I'm like, okay. So coming back from that tour, I was just kind of like, you know what? If I worked, because I literally did everything at that shop, from artwork. I was printing film at my house on my printer for her at the shop, because I had a better printer than she did. I was actually buying the things that I needed to basically start my own business. So I was kind of doing my own thing while working there. And it was before it was Machine Gun Graphics, it was called Glamco Industries. Because I was I have this pure affinity and love for glam metal. Like growing up, my dad was a Kiss fan. He was a Queensryche fan. So metal is ingrained in my blood. So whenever it's probably like 16 years old, I hit this phase where I literally listened to nothing but Poison, Motley Crue, Slaughter. Yes. Slaughter was one of my favorite bands. Cinderella, first literal live show I ever went to was Poison, Slaughter, Cinderella, and Dokken. So, wow. But yeah, like Glamco Industries was probably like a year or so. I think my brother still has a business card, which is insane to me that he has one. So, probably I moved into my grandmother's house. My parents moved up to North Carolina, so I moved in with my grandmother, and I was still working out of my bedroom in my grandmother's house. So it was kind of one of those things where I had, I built this little empire in my bedroom. I never actually touched a press until I started working at the screen printing shop that I worked at. All I had were my handmade screens. So I'd basically print the underbase, then go to my next color, print that color, then clean the screen off. And then the next shirt, print the underbase, clean the screen off, look at it. Wow. Basically having to register each individual shirt as I'm doing it. So in order of 20 shirts, a 2-color job, it would take me like 4 hours, 5 hours to do. I wasn't making money at all. So going from Glamco into Machine Gun Graphics, it was kind of like, I got to the point where I had a small little 4-color wooden press that I bought on eBay or something like that. I don't know. I've never seen a wooden press before, and I have not seen one since. So
one of our team members, Nicole, started on a wooden press. I think she built it herself, actually. Yeah, and that's how she got started in LA.
That's fantastic.
Crazy.
Yeah, this one, I bought it on eBay. I think I bought it from like Pocono Screen Supply or something like that from forever ago. But yeah, I was starting to actually starting to produce quality merchandise and things like that, and getting it done really fast. So that's where Machine Gun Graphics came from. Was I'm doing merch and I'm doing it fast. So like a machine gun, I'm getting it done as fast as I can. So that's where Machine Gun Graphics came from. 19 years old, I'm like, yeah, this is such a cool name. I'm awesome. And then, almost 40, I'm like, oh God, this is the worst name ever. So I
love you guys' name. Like,
that's
I
great.
think it's fantastic. It doesn't have the word ink in it.
Or like, screen.
Or screen. Graphics is actually spelled correctly. No X, right. C, and a Q somewhere in there.
Unique.
It is.
It's unique.
But yeah, I mean, that's one good thing is that, once you've heard the name, you know it and you're never going to forget it. So
totally.
But yeah, coming from Florida, I think it was in 2003. I was working still in my bedroom until 2003. I moved up to North Carolina mid 2003, closer toward the end of 2003, I actually ordered my first like ever legitimate screen printing equipment that I had. I bought a package deal from Workhorse where it was, a dryer, a 6-color, 6-station press. I built all of my own exposure units probably until about 7 years ago.
Wow.
Literally the best exposure unit I have ever had in my entire life until now it was literally a 4-foot by 4-foot box with, I think I had 12 4-foot fluorescent bulbs in it. I got better detail out of that than I ever got out of the metal halide unit that I had after that.
Wow.
So it literally sat on my garage floor, and then we had one really bad rainstorm and it flooded and ruined it. So, but yeah, moving up here in 2003, had all that stuff. My parents actually lived up here. So I had the equipment delivered to their house because it was going to be cheaper for me to have it delivered to them, pick it up from them, and then take it back down to Florida than it was for me to have it shipped to Florida. Don't ask me why. I don't understand.
That is weird.
But so I had it delivered to their house. Came on a tractor trailer, like one of the 53-foot tractor trailers. I've never, been around one that big and whatever. So we didn't have a lift gate. We didn't have anything on this truck. So truck driver backs down. Like my parents had a lot of land. So it was like around the backside of the house. Got the press off, no problem. And then the dryer came. We started getting it off the back of the truck, and the truck driver was actually helping us off. So me and the truck driver were bracing the dryer to slide it down out of the back of the truck.
Oh my God.
Truck driver's like, "Oh, I don't got this." So he lets go, runs around to the side of it. So I'm on the left-hand side of the dryer, literally like underneath this massive crate. It was a 2406, so it was a 24 inch wide, 8-foot long dryer. So 2408, that's what it was. It was in probably a 600 or maybe 800 pound crate. So I'm 20 years old racing this crate, and it just slides down the backside of the truck, lands on my leg. Basically, she's heard the story a million times. It's fine.
I'm laughing at Brian's
So I'm literally pinned. My leg is pinned under this crate. My toes are touching my shin.
Oh my God.
Luckily, it was on soft ground. It was on grass. And I was able to kind of like slide my leg out from underneath the crate. And I literally crawled up the steps in the backside of my parents' house. And I pass out. And then I wake up to the truck driver standing over top of me saying, "Hey, I need you to sign this."
Oh my God.
That dude was trying not to get sued.
He wrote on the bill of lading that everything was okay. And then he had literally, I just woke up from passing out, and he gives me this thing. I'm like, whatever. So I wake up. I end up calling my mom. She drives me to the hospital. Nothing's broken, thankfully. I tore some stuff in my leg, but I was in a cast. I was in a cast and a boot for about 8 months. So I moved to North Carolina.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then, so work, that was a long story to get to where I'm at.
That is a good, for those of you listening, sometimes we, when someone buys a rock and then we connect them with our install team, kind of go through what the next steps are. A lot of times we get pushback of like, I don't want to rent a forklift. Is there another way to do it? Get a forklift, you guys.
Get the forklift every single time.
Or else you'll end up with a crate falling on you.
Oh,
or at least
your legs will thank you.
Yeah. And I moved to got stuck in North Carolina, moved to North Carolina, working out of the workshop on the backside of my parents' house. with that press and that dryer, my output went through the roof. I was still printing for bands. Like that was 95% of what I did with bands. I worked with some like church groups and things like that. Once I got kind of more footing in the state, still had most of my contacts from Florida, and moved from that house into another house into the garage. Took the garage over. This was 2006. Yeah, when I was still in that workshop in the first house in North Carolina. I met her in 2003. I think December, November or something.
Something like that, yeah. I think 2006 is on the second house.
So, we started talking, dating. And then in 2006, moved into a new house. My parents moved into a new house. I went with them in the garage and all that kind of stuff. Was there until 2007 when I bought my first automatic, which was a progressive Falcon the year before Workhorse bought them.
But let's talk about how we went to this trade show and bought this thing and didn't have a shop to put it in.
So
we
went to a trade show.
We experience that, guys, on a monthly basis. We get a lot of people that do the same thing. They come in, they buy something, we're all excited, we cheers, welcome to the family, and then like a couple days goes by and it's like, oh yeah, so we didn't have space for this. We need to find a shop. And those are always, it's kind of fun to deal with because you get to make it your own and you're, working with putting new stuff in there, but we can totally empathize with that situation.
It was like the mid 2007 is when I started actually looking at what I was wanting to get. I had it narrowed down to a couple different ones. Went to a trade show in Charlotte, and was looking at a couple other machines. Went to a specific company's booth that will remain nameless, and stood at their booth. We were there for 45 minutes. Not one person said a word to us. We were out. Went to the booth, looked at the machine. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'll just stand here and I'll wait. Stay there for a little while. Just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. She put on a timer just to see how long it was going to be. They were all huddled in a circle over in the corner, talking to one another. They turned around, looked at us, and then kept talking. I was 2008. Yeah. 23, 22-ish. I don't know. Yes, 23.
Nobody likes you when you're 23.
I was wearing a goat whore t-shirt, like, tattoos, all this kind of stuff.
We were like some of the only people there.
We were literally the youngest people at that trade show.
Yeah. It was still when everybody was in like khakis and polos. So we were the oddball people.
So we were standing there, literally standing there waiting and waiting and waiting. All of a sudden, all these other people with khakis and polos and slacks and cargo shorts or anything other than a shirt that said goat whore on it. They literally flock to them because they don't look like us. Mm-hmm. So I go to the Tech Source booth where the Progressive Falcon is at. And I'm like, I want to buy this press. And they're looking at me like, are you sure? And I pull a check out and give them a check for the press. So got that one squared away. And then I had a shop that I was actually looking at moving into. And I went to go sign the lease on it. And then I'm like, I'm going to give one more lap around downtown Winston to see if I can find something else. Cause it was going to be 4,000 square feet for $2,000 a month. And at 23 years old, $2,000 a month is a lot for a shop. But I'm like, it's in an industrial park. It's a nice area. This is kind of in the same area that the shop that I worked at in Florida was in. So I went around, looked. I drove around this area that we are currently in right now. in 2007. And there was this tiny little 12-inch by 12-inch for rent sign because we're kind of on a hill. And I saw it and I'm like, all right, I'll go check that out. So call the landlords. They're like, hey, yeah, I mean, it's for rent. We'll take you in whenever, tomorrow or whatever. Because it was a Sunday when I drove around. So Monday morning, I meet up with them, look at the space. They tell me how much the rent was. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So instead of signing the lease on the other place, I called them and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to back out. So I got our spot in 2007. We got our press delivered probably a week after the trade show because it was the trade show model. So they literally just broke it down, brought it over.
Didn't try to take it off the truck yourself?
Yeah, thankfully, no. It was in, we had a loading dock. I had pallet jacks.
Ooh.
We were good. So nice. Yeah, I didn't have to brace it. I didn't have to brace a crate. I didn't have to do anything. So yeah, got it set up and then kind of hit the ground running. And then 2008 hit, which everyone, had a fun year in 2008. So, but we're here now. So, and yeah, we made it through COVID because we knew how to handle that kind of situation, because in 2008, it literally bottomed out. There was 1 month where I had 2 orders.
Wow.
It was December of 2008. I literally had 2 orders for the entire month of December.
Wow.
She worked full retail job for many, many years. So she paid our house bills, and I got a second job down the street working in a bakery to pay for the shop bills that weren't being met by not having orders. So 2008 was a very stressful year, but we made it through. That was a hell of a year.
There's not a lot that, you look at something like 2020, there's not a ton of things that you can read and prepare for that type of thing. I think going through it and having it, actually putting it into practice, how do you, try to recession proof a business and prepare for those types of times? I think for those shops out there like you guys that went through it already once, probably in a lot better position this last time around.
We were. I think it really taught us lessons that, like, when we had 2 seconds to really stop and think about it, we were kind of like, okay, what happened then? And what could we have done differently? Like, what do we have now versus what we didn't have then? We had a customer base now that supports us. So it was kind of like, okay, well, we at least have that, whereas we didn't have that strong of a base beforehand. So we kind of knew how to cut back. The fact that we work inside of the business as well was a huge help because we're owners that can jump on our own machines. So,
and even in 2008, I was still running the shop by myself. Yeah. I would have man, I felt so bad. I still feel bad to this day. My parents would literally get off of work and they would come and reclaim. My dad would get off work because he worked downtown. He works for an organization called AMVETS, where he places veterans with getting their disability and all that kind of stuff. So he worked downtown at, their corporate office here, and he would get off work at 4:00 and he'd drive here and reclaim until all the screens were ready. And,
that's nice.
my mom would come and do it on
support.
weekends. Dude, yeah, that was one thing. My parents were majorly supportive of everything that I did. They helped out in any way that they could. There were a few times where there were Saturdays where I had to, get a job done, and my dad would catch at the end of the dryer. My mom would pull shirts. It's one of those things. I did what I had to do. They helped me out tremendously. I mean, she was working a full-time job, and her schedule was all over the place. So it was she couldn't come on 11 o'clock after she got off work to help me out. So
right.
The shop was literally, with the exception of having people come in every once in a while to help me out, was literally a one-man shop.
Until 7 years ago, until almost 8 years ago.
Yeah, until 8 years ago, when it got to the point where I could no longer handle. I was doing everything artwork. I was invoicing people. I was doing all of the front end, back end, literally everything that you have to do to run a shop. That's what I did. So it came down to she was having.
I was ready to leave.
She was on the way out. Like she wanted to change. So I'm like, well, finish what you're doing there, and then come work with me. So we had a plan for her to finish at the store, and then in 6 months come at the shop full time. That did not pan out. 2 weeks later, she was at the shop, literally learning everything start to finish. Basically, the things that she could take off my plate were taken off of my plate. The shop was a disaster. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. There were boxes of t-shirts literally everywhere. There was no organization. There was no rhyme or reason to how anything was done. I'd get an order. I'd order the shirts. I'd print them when they came in, and I'd get them done. My turnaround times were 3 days. So anytime I would get an order, it would literally be like, artwork's done, ready to go, whatever. And then my 3-day turnaround was a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, because I was literally doing everything, and it was so hard to keep up. So bringing her in, having her do, I started training her on literally everything. Like she already knew how to do invoicing. She already knew how to do that kind of stuff. So she would handle that. I would focus more on getting design work done. So I'd get the designs done. Then whenever we had to print film, I'd show her how to print film. Anytime we had to burn screens, I showed her how to burn screens, set jobs up, run the press. Literally anything start to finish, she learned how to do. And then it was just me and her for years. Like literally me and her were literally start to finish everything, just me and her.
And we just put like time management stuff into place too.
That's the one thing that she brought, that there was no organization, there was no management, there was nothing. She came from retail, so she knew how to get things done within the timely manner. And sorry, go ahead.
Like fast forwarding, like from where you guys started there. So I mean 14 years old, all the way kind of like through this journey to, you're talking years there, right? To 2008. Yeah. So it's like about an 8 or 9 year span. And then Nikki gets involved. You guys are kind of running a 2-person operation. Take us, like, fast forward us to today. So 2022, we just started the year. I know equipment's changed, staffing's changed. Where are you guys at today?
Today, we have 5 in-house employees, and then we have an entire art department that is sourced through Graphic Source, actually. Yep. So that we don't do any of that stuff in-house anymore. We can do it in-house, but it's more beneficial for us to not even have it and just be more of like a production space. We bought our building. So the same little tiny cheap rent that we had, the people that were working out of it that owned it decided they were ready to retire. So we bought that, expanded into one space, which is where the Oval is now at. Just recently bought some other equipment this year too. So I'd say 5 production bodies in-house.
Yeah.
Nice. And you guys are running the one Oval?
Yeah, 2 of them are us. And I think we have plans to hire 3 more. The U.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a small P8 4-color U.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we picked it up.
That's sweet.
We picked it up from a shop that was actually selling everything, going out of business. The guy was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And I think we're actually looking to upgrade that this year to a larger color count press too, just because we've got a customer that's pushing our limits on how much time they take up on that Oval. So
right. That's awesome. And for those of you guys listening out there, we do have, I want to point out, because they were talking about purchasing, a used shop that was, decided to get out of the business. And they got a ROQ, I think P10 you said, right?
Yeah.
We have a classified section, or P8. We've got a classified section up on our website, roq.us. It's under equipment, used equipment, and there are ads up there. So we try to help our partners that are, deciding to either get out of the business, or a lot of those are actually upgrades. So when people get ready to upgrade, as you guys may be looking at, with that current U, pop it up on the classified section. It'll help someone else out that wants to rock, that maybe isn't ready to go new or just dip their feet in, and then upgrade that way. So a good tool and a good resource for folks that are looking at that, because our equipment is not easy to find used. So we're trying to make it a little bit simpler. There's not much of it. I mean, I've got to say, the majority of our customer partners, even through COVID, there just has not been many people that have failed. It's a really cool thing to see that community, kind of come together with a different view on how this industry should be ran, their mindset on technology, their mindset on operations and procedures. And it's really uplifted them. So that's incredible to hear this journey, man. I mean, starting at 14 to where you're at today, after all the, trials and tribulation of going through, knowing nothing to like sort of organically growing with the industry through years is really impressive. Well,
the cool thing too is like there's always something to learn. You can't be like, okay, I've learned everything I can learn. I'm done. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. It's constantly growing. It's constantly evolving. New ink technologies, new, press technologies, literally everything is changing. So I'm not claiming I know all the answers. Like I literally don't know the things that half the people in the industry know. But what I know was, from hard, blood, sweat, and tears put into everything. It's very long-winded for sure, but
making all of those mistakes and learning those like small DIY ways of doing stuff, though, it helps now because it's like, what to not do. But then there's been times where it's like, we all know like being on press sometimes is not turnkey. Like it's not one of those situations where every job runs exactly the same, especially when you're talking water-based inks. But there's definitely been times where it's like you can kind of think back to like, oh, when I was younger, this little trick worked, maybe, and it's little stuff like that gets you out of the woods sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will talk more about rocking with an oval. We will be right back.
Need to print high-colored jobs but limited on space constraints? The unique footprint of the ROQ Oval empowers your team's operators to achieve the pristine prints your brand is known for while reducing the area needed for production. An ideal option for businesses that face space limitations as well as businesses who wish to run multiple print jobs simultaneously. For more ways to press Onward, rock your way online at roq.us or call 187-ROCK-IT-NOW. That's 877-674-8669.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, take a look at my life and realize it's just that. 'Cause I've been back to glasses so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. I ain't never caught a man who didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, that's unheard of. Better watch out you're talking, the way you're walking. Or you and your homies might be lying in chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta mow. And to see myself down in the business mode. Cool out the kind of deal little homies wanna be like I'm a beast tonight, saying prayers in the street light. We're spending most our life living in the gangster's paradise. We're spending most our life living in the gangster's paradise. We're spending most our life living in the gangster's paradise. We're spending most our life living in
I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop, where we talk all things screen printing. Today we are talking about rocking on the oval with Machine Gun Graphics, Nikki Bowen, and Kyle Woodall. Alongside of us, as always, is our creative director, Mr. Merrill Caps, and our director of sales, Brian Richards. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Machine Gun Graphics. Over the break, we heard from Ryan Schraffenberger performing our exciting artist next week, Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, his rendition of that. Be sure to come to ROQ's booth next weekend, 1401 at the Long Beach Convention Center, and hear him live before Gallo and Coolio take the stage at the Pacific Lobby that evening at 5:30. And for more information, call, or not call, you can call, but definitely follow at roq.us. And action.
Oh, 87. Rock it now. That's 87. ROQITNOW. Love that.
Well, I will say when Kyle called that number, or actually I think it was probably a different number because it was a few years back, but actually it was probably an email. But however you contacted me first, Kyle, when you were inquiring about the oval, at that time there wasn't a lot of ovals that had been installed. And so oftentimes when, conversations started, hey, I'm interested in an oval, it's like,
are you
probably, you're probably not. They're really big. They're pretty expensive.
Oh man.
And so I think in our first interactions, I was probably, wondering like if this is going to be the right thing, but the scenario that you kind of laid out with, the limitations on space, from, in your shop with the poles and the amount of colors that you had to do, kind of illuminated the fact that it actually might be a good fit. So while I was, a little surprised at first, it ended up, I think, really being the right solution. So I'm curious to know kind of in this journey, as you've, been on that now for a few years, has there anything that's surprised you about, either the equipment or about working with ROQ US?
Well, I mean, like doing that first, like you said, that first interaction where I was like, hey, I'm looking at an oval. You're like, are you really though?
Yeah.
You sure? Are you sure you want that? I remember like the first 2 emails back and forth. But yeah, I mean, that's the one press that I had been looking at for such a long time. I was looking at a couple different ones. But having the limitations that we had with what we needed to actually accomplish was the only option. So, getting it taken care of as easily as it did. I know we had the first deal that we were trying to do. It was above our budget, and I was like, I got to hold off. But you and Chris from CIT worked behind our backs a little bit.
Oh, and the sales and the finance guys, man. If you want to, they're the real creatives.
Yeah. I have to say, like, you guys really went to bat for us on that one and figured it out. We were pretty much ready to wait until the next year to pull the trigger on it at that point. We really appreciated what you guys went through to get that done, just to basically get it within our budget and get the machine that, that is essentially my dream machine and I own it. So having it and, being able to use it every day, and the tech support that you guys offer is, bar none. I've got 2 techs, like personal cell phone numbers on my, in my speed dial on my cell phone. But being able to work on that press every day and being able to do the things that we can do on this machine versus what we could do on our other machine is ridiculous. Talking about tech support too, I will say that I follow so many different Facebook pages for all the equipment that we have, because he doesn't have Facebook and I do. The ROQ one, like the owner's one, the techs are literally in there answering questions. Like, people will jump in and have an issue with their press, and it's like I see techs going in and making those comments and saying, try X, Y, and Z. If that doesn't work, give me a call. Yeah. And I've seen problems solved in a comment chain for shops in a matter of minutes. And I don't see that on any other machine companies' Facebook pages.
What does that mean to you to be like a part of? We really value that, we kind of have, we call it like the ROQ family. Like we have that kind of community. What is that? What has that meant to you as you guys have kind of, met other ROQ printers or kind of dove into that community?
Well, I mean, it's support that you wouldn't get from anywhere else.
It gets you back up and running. You're not shut down. Like if our press goes down and we're not running that day, then we're just burning money every single hour. And we're one of those small shops that knows what it costs an hour to run our shop. So if it gets you back up faster and gets you running faster, then you get to a point where you start to consider those companies as your partners. Yeah. Like in the way that you run your business, because if they're not there to support you, then what's going on? The funny thing is too, is like having, it's because I just started using like my personal Instagram, like to actually, do things now. But the first post that I made was...
You sound like me.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
But like,
I was.
Having like you said, Brian, having the community and having that partnership with other shops now, and the partnership with ROQ as a company, like it's unreal to me because I started so young and the industry has changed so much over the last 20 years. Even in the last 5 years, the industry has changed.
You want to share more?
Yeah, it's like when I first started out, it's like everything was a secret. Like nobody wanted to be friends with another shop. Like I couldn't go to, a shop 5 miles away and talk to them about anything. They'd be like, no, get out of my shop. You're competition. And now like I have 5 or 6 other shops that just got new ROQ machines installed, and they're literally reaching out to me, asking me questions about stuff. And if I have any questions about things, I can reach out to other shops that had ROQs before me. And the community aspect of what you guys have and what you guys actually push as far as your culture and things like that is, literally the greatest thing in this industry right now.
Wow.
Thanks, man.
Well,
that's a powerful statement.
That.
I appreciate that.
It is, yeah. And you guys have been, fantastic. The stuff that you put out on social. I mean, I feel like it really does hit this. It's like the sweet spot of like, showing the.
Oh, we're well aware who does it.
Yeah, but it does. There's a lot. If you look at content, screen print shops, there's some that's it's like too rudimentary. It's not super well done. There's other ones that are like very intricate and very like almost overproduced. And I feel like the machine gun graphic stuff that I see is very like it's well done, but it's still showing that like the day-to-day of like what goes on in a shop and the types of stuff you guys are printing. And I always really enjoy it.
We like went through our little identity crisis with Instagram. Should it be this? Should it be that? And then one day I just got so frustrated with trying to keep up with like the beautiful facade of what everyone was trying to pull off. And I just said, we're just going to have fun. I was like, who's your Instagram for? Is it for like your friends in the industry or is it for your customers? And I just decided one day, like, it's for our customers, like they're the ones that really want to see it. They all love seeing the stuff that we produce.
I can't tell you how many emails we get from our customers. Like, hey, when you make our stuff, can you take a video of it and post it on your Instagram?
And I'm just like, notes taken, sure. But yeah, I mean, and that's, I think when we decided to just have fun with it, is when it made the biggest difference in the interactions that we got off of it.
It's cool too. You can tell that you guys love what you do. I can like, it comes through that like, okay, like when you say I'm printing on my dream press, like I can see that like in some of the stuff. So, in kind of in that vein, talk about, what are some of the bigger differentiators or benefits of like the oval model itself for you guys compared to, going with a standard carousel or something like that?
I'm gonna piggyback off of that too, just so our listeners can understand, because you guys kind of broached this. Was talk a little bit about your space and why that was the options. I think a lot of people either haven't gotten a building yet, or they did, and they're not thinking about, braces that are, load bearing poles that are coming down when they're thinking about equipment. So our production spot, which is behind us down like 5 feet. And we've got, it's 20 foot ceilings. It's a very odd space. There used to be a mechanic down there for many, many years. He was there for like from the 80s on to about probably 8 years ago, I think is when he left. But it's a massive spot. It's 50 feet long and probably, well, the entire space itself is probably like 60 or 70 feet wide, but it's essentially broken down into 3 sections. So
You have, because it's got two massive load-bearing beams, like they're, metal posts that are 8-inch diameter steel beams running straight up from like literally in the concrete in the floor to an I-beam running the length of the building. So from the outside wall to the first beam is probably 17 to 18 feet. And then from that, the first post to the actual inside wall is probably another 17 feet. And then on the inside where our oval is actually essentially its own room. It's a 15-foot wide, 50-foot long room. So when we first started looking at the machines, it was like, yeah, we can fit a 16 color 20 station press down there, but we're going to be in between the posts. Our dryer is going to be at some weird angle, and it's going to take up too much real estate that we need for everything else.
And we wouldn't be able to have a second press down there either.
Right.
Like we wouldn't have had enough space for two presses to feed into one dryer.
And so we already pulled the trigger on the oval. We had literally, I went down there one day, measured everything out, took spray painted out the shape of the oval, spray painted out the dryer that we were in the process of getting. And then I put our old progressive Falcon. We were going to move it downstairs. There's literally still orange spray paint on the floor to this day. But we were looking at everything. We had this landing built, and we were looking at everything, trying to figure it out. We were at Long Beach in the last Long Beach one, 2020. And we were there. We were talking about everything, still trying to figure this out, like where we were going to put it. We had already ordered it, and we're like, yeah, we're going to get this machine, and we were still trying to figure out where we're going to put it. And the room that it's in, it had two openings to get to that inside room. And then we were in Long Beach, and she's like, why don't we just knock out a wall? So we reached out to our friend, and he knocked out an 11-foot wide hole in the wall, and we put the oval in that room. So it's literally, we've got enough room to walk down the sides of the press to get, load screens in, get past flashes. There's like 2 feet from the print head to the wall. So, I mean, it's a lot more space than what I'm used to. So,
yeah. But that being
it's actually kind of nice too, because you guys are printing a lot of water based, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of climate control that area a lot more effectively.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We've got a big ass swamp cooler down there, a portacool, whatever you want to call it, and it keeps it nice and moist.
Because that one room is so closed off, it's like we can just set that up in there, and it brings us down exactly where we need to be.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and a couple things too. You mentioned Long Beach 2020, that show right before everything shut down. You guys weren't installed until what, like spring or summer? September.
Wow. We got it in April.
Yep.
And then we didn't actually, and it sat down there wrapped in plastic until September that year.
I unloaded that thing out of those containers, and it literally sat down there for.
I would just go look at it.
Yeah, we'd go sit down there, grab a chair, and just sit there and stare at it for a little bit. We had major issues trying to get our power company out here because we had to have new service run. We literally had a power pole with new transformers put in just to run our machine.
Mm.
So,
and all of this was lined up pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But when COVID hit, it was like all of that stuff got pushed back. And then throughout the course of that year, we probably had like 4 major storms within the East, like Florida up to North Carolina. And so every time they would have us up to like install that power pole, they would have to send crews to do storm cleanup in other areas. So we would just get pushed back. And then the company that was supposed to do our electrical decided that they didn't want to work through COVID. So they just dipped out, and we had to find another company.
Yep.
Yeah, they just wanted to collect some free money versus working. So yeah, you know what? I think it's, in the long run, it was probably the best decision.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to take another opportunity to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will round out our segment here on Rockin' with an Oval. We'll be right back.
Of all the obstacles and delays that face your business, your automation installation should never be one. But far too often, many screen printers neglect to prepare to allow for their install to go as smoothly as it could. We spent decades in the field across North America and abroad to know exactly how to ensure the smoothest install process, so you and your team hardly realize such a major transition is taking place. Get your free download of the Auto Installation Success ebook at ROQ.us so you can find out precisely what is needed to be prepared for a seamless installation of your new ROQ equipment.
LaPointe, Haiti is a home to thousands of people. Until 2016, many did not have the opportunity to go to school. This contributes to the almost 80% unemployment rate that Haiti holds. But with your help, local leaders have been able to create a safe and nurturing space for kids to come and learn. There are now over 600 students enrolled, breaking cycles of generational poverty. But we've realized this isn't enough. We must do more. Education is the foundation, but job creation is the next step. The dream of the local community is to create a vocational training school to supply the much-needed skills for students, community members, and beyond. Can you imagine the lifeline this will produce? People will no longer be forced to flee their homes in search of job opportunities. Kids can grow up in their families and not in orphanages, and financial pressures will be removed and replaced with growth and sustainability. Join us in being one of the 1,000. We're asking for 1,000 people to give just $70 to make this happen. This $70,000 goal will provide the resources needed to create a permanent building structure that will provide training and economic growth for the LaPointe community in a way that's never been done before. Will you join us?
I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today, we are talking about ROQ'n on the Oval with Machine Gun Graphics, Nikki Bowen, and Kyle Woodall. Alongside me, as always, is our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Capps, and our director of sales, Mr. Brian Richards. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you to Ryan Schraffenberger again for his part over the break for discussing LaPointe Foundation. And be sure to meet Ryan at ROQ's booth 1401 at the Long Beach Convention Center next weekend. And follow at ROQ.us on Instagram for new updates on that.
And in true form, call 87 Rock it now.
Indeed. kind of sunk into like a radio voice at the end there. I didn't intend for. I think that's correct, Phil. And in 15 minutes, we have the weather and traffic.
I still want to add our sound. No, that's more like a pilot. That's like, we're at 20,000 feet, and the weather in Phoenix is
winds northwest out of the. Well, we mentioned earlier in the show, kind of touched on, initially when Kyle was first exploring, whether the oval was the right model, and that there wasn't really a lot of them in the field at that time. It's become a lot more popular. I think in the last year, we've probably helped people upgrade into ovals, more than, probably the first 7 or 8 years of ROQ in the US. Yeah. So people are definitely seeing the benefits. You guys were, some of our earliest adopters in that type of configuration. And because of that, and because, you're awesome and very welcoming and hospitable and very centrally located on the East Coast, we tend to partner you or connect, other folks who are interested in these special oval beasts up to kind of hear your story and hear about, why you ended up going that route and what you like about it and that kind of thing. First of all, thank you. And then I'd be interested to know, how has that been having other shops come in, seeing your, location and your, equipment, and describing kind of, how you guys came to, be producing on those types of machines. What's it like to be, kind of a brand advocate and to be more, intimate with those different shops who are kind of relying on you for information as they're making tough decisions?
Yeah, I mean, it's great because we've made a lot of connections with people we probably wouldn't have.
Good relationship building.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually made had a few shops come in and take a look at it, and a few more shops are we want to come take a look at the Oval. And I'm like, all right, like we're more than happy to.
It's weird now too. I think that people are just like DMing us and asking if they can come to our shop and look at it now before they even like reach out to you guys in the beginning.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
Straight to the source.
Yeah. But it's fun though, because you kind of get an inside look at how other people are operating their shops when they're here too, because they might walk around our shop and see how we're doing things. And they may say, that's really awesome. I'm going to take that back to our business. Or they may say, well, we do it like this at our shop, and it might be something that clicks well here. Then I'm like, we should try that out. Yeah. So I think it's a relationship building.
Yeah, we don't just do an Oval tour. We literally take them upstairs, show them everything start to finish. And we literally just hang out for a couple hours. So.
That's awesome.
It's really awesome seeing that you guys, I also owned a print shop for years before I was on this side of the industry. And I started getting serious around the same time you did. And I remember the silos, and, that was a big mission and something that I've, kind of instilled in our team here at ROQ over and over and over again is tearing down the silos, educate, give away knowledge, because I couldn't stand it. And so it's really cool that you guys, not only are you, inviting people into your business, but giving them that full experience and realizing that there's always something to learn. Yeah. That's just it was such a rarity. I'd say it still is in a lot of ways, but I feel like the more business owners like you and partners like you that we have involved in this industry, the further that's going to take off, because people realize, in $7.2 billion a year industry, we're not stepping on each other. Yeah. We're all just trying to make money, have fun doing it, and, provide for our families and our futures. Yep. And that's really what most people want out of this. You don't have a bunch of screen printers saying, I want to be a billionaire tomorrow. I mean, maybe that's some people's goal. Yeah. But I mean, typically, our goal is to be comfortable, right? And do what we love and have some cocktails at trade shows.
I think the knowledge sharing portion is something that we never got. People would never knowledge share with us or share any kind of like trade secrets or anything like that. And so it's just one of those things where we're kind of like, we're just going to do it, because ultimately we have our customers, we have our business, it's still building and it's still growing. I think too many shops are just scared that their business is going to go elsewhere if they ship outside of what you're doing in order to learn something.
Yeah, I've got
I like that. We kind of have a phrase. It's part of the Sandler sales method, but it's called sell like you have 20 million in the bank. And the whole concept is you've got to be confident, and you can't, rely on all that stuff. And I think that transitions not just to sales, but how you conduct yourself in business. Exactly. So question for you guys, what, moving into, we're at the very beginning of the year, I've been goal boarding personally. We've been writing all our business plans and starting to execute, from a company as well. What are you guys' business goals? And then secondly, what are your hopes, for the industry, kind of as we piggyback off of that conversation we just had moving forward into the future?
Well, for us, we've spent since 2018 kind of like walking into that automation world. Yeah. Our first piece of automation was our direct-to-screen unit. And so we started there, and we've spent the last few years building that. We're at a point now where we're kind of leveled out as far as that goes. We're just going to keep building on the automation. Anything we can outsource that helps our business run better. Art services, payroll services, like accounting, like whatever little things make it easier on us to run this business. That's what we're doing. And then we're focusing on SOPs with our staff. We have a really great staff, but they've all come in, and they all came in at really busy times and just kind of had to jump in. And thankfully they're experienced from previous jobs, but we're kind of at a point right now where our goal is to get everybody on the exact same page in our shop and how we operate.
That's the hardest thing.
So you guys are really leaning like lean concepts than like 5S.
We were lean before anybody was even talking about it. Like we were always like trying to find ways to like make the jobs easier and better and like cleaner.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's always hard having people come in from other shops where there were specific ways that they did things. But we do things here in a very specific way, in a very specific manner. And I mean, it's one of those things like, get with the program, you gotta do it the way it needs to be done here. And the two guys that we've got running production with us now are fantastic. Like the first guy is, a godsend. He's been printing for 10 years, so he knows what he's doing. The other guy, he's a little more green, but all he's run are rock presses. So he came from a rock shop to another rock shop, so he already knows how to run the machine.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
like she said, we're just automating, making everything is.
Our goals are simple but big this year, like just making us better.
We're trying to people-proof everything.
And then, I mean, piggybacking off of that, just in terms of like what you guys are hoping to see in the industry, moving forward, and maybe even what you'd like to see from us specifically. So, I mean, the industry would be one question, and then what can ROQ US do to promote and really be a partner in the goals that you guys have moving forward as well?
I mean, as long as everything in the industry like keeps evolving and keeps moving forward, I mean, there's not really anything else that you can ask for. Like the friendships that need to be made, the partnerships that have to be made, like as long as all of that stuff keeps happening, as long as it keeps building on itself, there's not really much else that you can ask for in an industry. I mean, as long as we don't go back to the way it was 10 years ago, where everybody's so concerned with someone else figuring out that, oh, they use that type of white ink versus this type of white ink, or, they're using that mixing system over there and we're using this one here. And, it's just one of those.
I am ready to see how this hybrid evolves though, Brian.
That's
okay, good.
It's
So
come at
digital,
some point. It's coming.
digital technology.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Cool.
Well, you'll see it at Long Beach next week.
Yep.
Yeah. On
Looking
that
forward to
note,
that.
what are you guys looking most forward to at the show?
People.
So, people. I love it.
Just hanging out with all the cool cats that are at ROQ US and all the other people that we're partnered with, and just getting to see the people we haven't seen in 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I'm
What's fun,
interested
I
in
saw you
all the new
guys,
digital.
and yeah, seeing digital is
Yep.
going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all saw each other at print houses. That was awesome. That was one
was
of the
cool.
first events
hell
I
of a
went
time.
back to since COVID started. I mean, I didn't start traveling until the end of last year.
Yeah.
And so I was just so great and almost weird, right? It's like,
It's like, should we be here?
I'm
Should we
used-
not be here?
well, and I'm just so used to being around big groups of people. I mean, we're used to being in an office. We're used to having everyone around. And it was funny when I kind of got back in to my Vistage group and meeting in person. That's only 16 of us. I mean, I had moments of like panic where I'm like, I felt not normal. And Print Hustlers, I mean, even getting back on stage there, I'm like, I felt super nervous and weird. I mean, I think I did okay. It was only a little 5-minute thing, but it's taking time. It's almost like relearning.
Yeah.
Like
it was
how
weird.
to be around people,
I think that was our first event. Like we hadn't really done anything. We hadn't flown. That was our first flight even. And getting back out and doing something like that. So yeah, that entire experience, you're right. It was like, okay, what do I do now? How do I act? Like I'm
excited we got some experience there with that. So I think Long Beach I will at least feel back to normal. It's just taken some time. So
I'm ready.
We look forward to seeing you guys there for sure.
Absolutely.
And then we kind of asked what you guys wanted to see more of us. And then are you guys coming to our trip to Portugal?
I believe so. I think Brian got that squared away for us.
Yeah, you have the green light.
I like
you guys
it. Green light.
It works for your schedule.
I'm so glad Parkway pulled the trigger on that.
You just let me know. I'll pencil it into our schedule. We'll hop on a flight anytime.
It's most likely going to be in May.
Nice.
I've got some dates set because I'm going to go out a little early. I've got another event. So it's going to be, I think, the week of May 16th, which also happens to be my birthday. So we'll have to have a big celebration in Portugal.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. It's going to be
Birthday
amazing. So what would you guys most look forward to? We put some videos and some different stuff, right, on different trips. We took a big group, I think about 3 years ago. What would you be most excited about going there? I mean, obviously Europe and other screen printers and fun and all that. But in terms of like seeing the factory and being there, is there anything specific that you guys like look forward or want to learn while you're there?
I've always been super interested in how it's made. Like that was my favorite show growing up. Whenever Discovery Channel, come on and watch how it's made. I still watch reruns. But just literally seeing how these ridiculous machines are built, like seeing the people that actually make the machines that we use every day is probably going to be one of my favorite things. Like I want to shake the hand of the people who built my oval and just tell them thank you for, some of the greatest equipment that's, on the face of the planet.
Awesome.
But, I mean, just being able to hang out in a different culture and
how they operate it too, to see if there's any differences between how we operate our press versus maybe how they designed it in terms of operation.
Yeah.
There's differences.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. And it will be the longest business tour you've ever been on. The facility is 30,000 square meters in 7 different buildings. And it's the coolest thing. I mean, I still geek out on it. I've been there a ton of times, but just seeing raw steel come in, hit a robot, and then go through all these buildings and turn into what you guys are printing on. It's truly amazing. So I'm excited to have you guys there. It's going to be a really fun trip. I think we're going to have actually quite a bit of people going. We should have a good group, probably 30 or 40. We're going to bring some guest speakers out. We'll do some seminars. It'll be a good time. So, and we will eat a lot of codfish and beef. So get ready. That is a staple. Every meal will have codfish and beef. Occasionally you might see lamb thrown in there.
I guess I'll have to learn how to eat fish then.
It's a lot of fish.
It is fish heavy. Yeah, get ready for that. It's also white wine heavy. Yeah. So
you got me there.
Yes. And espresso. There's espresso all day long.
Yep.
I have to limit myself because I get
same.
I can drink that all day long.
I'm in that camp.
So to end up here, I wanted to give you guys a chance, just any final thoughts, and then also let our listeners out there know where they can find you on Instagram, Facebook, your website, any place else that I don't know about, because there's so many social things that Ross also doesn't do, like some kind of kicker talks and
we have
Snapper chat.
Snapchat. No,
fish on the brain.
Let's stay off
Fish
of
on
Snapchat. So we have a website, machinegungraphics.com. We can be found on Facebook, which is simply at Machine Gun Graphics. Instagram at Machine Gun Graphics, which is where you'll find most of our content that we release. TikTok, we did join it. We're doing it a little bit at a time. Not sure how I feel about it yet, but we're doing it. We do have a Twitter, so
we don't.
It's there. Yeah, it's there. We don't use it quite often, but it exists if you'd like to follow us in the rare event that we decide to use it one day.
All right. And then any last minute words of wisdom or thoughts to tell our listeners out there?
It's not easy.
Keep growing.
Just
keep at it.
Keep doing it. Yeah. I mean, that's all you can really do. Is just
start small, keep going a little bit at a time, and you'll get there.
You're going to fail.
I mean, the steps that I take away from this are glam rock, machine gun, oval press. I think
I think that's
really
good.
The bullet points that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How to buy your oval while listening to glam rock.
Hey.
I like that.
New ebook. Look for it.
New ebook. Oh no.
That's the name of your new book, Kyle.
I don't really listen to much glam metal anymore. I've moved on to more, fantasy, power metal, anything out of Europe I listen to.
Nice.
It is what it is. But yeah,
Listen to music.
Awesome.
French.
Listen to lots of power metal while you're printing t-shirts.
Good advice. Really good advice. Well, I want to thank you guys again for joining us today. Merrill, thank you. Brian, thank you. And
thank you guys.
I can't wait to see you guys in Long Beach here in a few days. And those of you listening, come join us there. Let's have some fun. I promise a bar in the booth at least once. Based on some requests here on this show. And
come see Brian Schraffenberger, Josh Klein, Gallo.
Yeah.
Live.
Gallo, Coolio, and then all of our guest speakers. Come learn with us, and let's celebrate a new year, bring it in the right way. Again, appreciate you all out there for listening. Continue to press onward and rock on.
Awesome.
Rock on.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Good to see you.
You too.
Big thanks to Nikki Bowen and Kyle Woodall for joining us today. As always, thank you for spending time with us this week, and thank you for trusting us as your partner in print. Tune in at your convenience wherever you listen to your podcast by searching Rock Shop Talk. If you'd like to request to be on the show, please visit rock.us/rockshoptalk. If you found today's episode helpful, please recommend it to a friend who you think may find it helpful as well. Please like, share, and subscribe on social media. And until next time, rockers, press on.